This past week, I took a trip to the Highlands to stay with my friend Kimberly at her home. Unfortunately, most of the time I was there, I was ill. So now I've come back home to Edinburgh and I'm going to share with you how I take care of myself by cooking some nice food and just generally resting at home. When I'm feeling unwell and I can't really leave the house, one of the things that I like to do to keep myself occupied and entertained is to do some cooking and baking. I really was in the mood for something sweet, but I don't want to leave the house. I'm feeling a little bit cold and I don't want to go out into the elements. It's quite windy and breezy out there. So I just thought, what can I make that I have everything in the house so I don't need to go to the store? What can I bake? And I did come up with a recipe completely randomly a few days ago that turned out to be exceptional. So I thought that I would share it with you now. The only thing that I'm a little bit worried about is that this was completely random, and I did at the time measure the ingredients properly, but I'm just hoping that it wasn't a fluke and that they turn out as well this time. And what they are chocolate muffins that I made using all of these things here, so sugar, baking powder, flour, cocoa powder, olive oil, and then I had a few sweet potatoes left over, so I boiled them and mashed them, and then I used those as kind of like the moisture in the bake. And what I did was I just put everything into this bowl. I didn't whisk the flour and the sugar together or anything like that. I just put everything in the bowl and whisked it at the end, and it turned out to be really, really amazing. So I thought that I would do this again, and hopefully it will turn out just as delicious, because I want to share it with you so that you can enjoy it as well. So I think we should get started on our chocolate muffins, and please pray that they turn out as good as last time. So once we've made our batter, we're going to put them into this tin using an ice cream scoop, which divides them out very nicely. So let's get started. Now, please excuse my voice. I am ill again. For some reason, this year I've been ill quite a lot. As you've seen, a few times I've had to cancel videos because I was just too ill to do them. And that was almost the case for this week, but I just thought, get dressed, get in the shower and just make something rather than not being here again. So I have done that, even though I'm not really feeling too good. So yeah, this is a very easy recipe. As I said before, we're going to start off by putting our plain flour in here, and we're just going to use 1 cup of plain flour. So let's do that. And I have to say, a few weeks ago, my weighing scales that I used to bake, I ran out of battery and I haven't replaced it yet. And actually, I find it so much easier using American cups, because you don't have to rely on technology. You can just fill up this cup, and it just seems to be so much quicker. So yeah, I'm using cups. It's a bit of a nuisance when you find a recipe and it doesn't tell you in cups and you have to keep converting. But for me, this has been so much easier. So for now, I'm going to keep using cups. So yeah, we've got 1 cup of flour in there, and I'm now going to use 1 cup of caster sugar, which is basically just superfine sugar, if you don't know what caster sugar is. So 1 cup of this as well. So yes, I was really delighted when I made this recipe in the week. I was just craving something sweet, and I needed to use stuff that I had in the house. And this turned out to be so good. They're really, really moist. They've got a nice spring in them. And you can just have 1 and it will satisfy you for the whole day, which is what I like about muffins rather than a cake where sometimes 1 slice is not enough. So now I'm going to add in 2 teaspoons of baking powder. So this is just a guess. I can't be bothered to go and get a teaspoon. And I'm going to add in a pinch of salt. So over the years, as I've done a lot of baking, I have learned kind of the basic elements that what it takes to create a cake or things like cookies. So the last thing that I am going to do, separate to the bowl, just to make sure that we do it properly, is I'm going to put in a large spoonful, about 2 teaspoons full of cocoa powder, maybe just a little bit more. And then to that, I'm going to add in half a cup of olive oil, and then I'm going to mix it together. So, yes, half a cup of olive oil, and this is what is going to give the moisture to this recipe. Now, when I was doing this, I was a bit concerned because I didn't have any eggs in the house. Would this work? And I'm very pleased to say that eggs are not needed. This will work very well, and you'll have muffins that are delicious, hopefully, if it works again. Okay. So that is everything. So I'm just going to pour this in here now, and then we're going to mix it together, and hopefully it will work again. So let's get all of that in. Oh, I've just remembered one other thing that I added last time, which was porridge oats. And I think I am going to do that again because it added quite a nice texture to it. So let's add in some porridge oats. Okay, so I'm just probably going to add in third of a cup. There we go. That is the entire recipe. I also realised that I haven't added in the sweet potato. I'm just going to blame my illness on this lack of memory. So yeah, the most important part of the recipe is the sweet potato, so that goes in as well. And now it really is truly ready to be mixed together with the blender and turned into our delicious chocolate muffins. So yeah, please don't forget the sweet potato, because this is definitely the vital ingredient. Okay, let's get this attachment on here and get this mixed up. And I want you to see how this comes together. Okay, I'm going to crank up the speed a little bit. So I'm giving that a really good mixing. And let me just show you how this looks. So yeah, this is exactly the way the batter was last time. It tastes the same as well. So I think we're going to be in luck. Okay, I'm feeling very optimistic about this because it's exactly the way it was before. Kind of this very gloopy, chocolatey mixture that I thought would be too tough last time, but actually it turned out well. So let's get this into our baking tin. And yes, I'm just going to take the ice cream scoop and then level it off with our spatula. Oops. And just simply fill up these. Oh, I'm very excited because now, if it works, you'll be able to experience these Fairford chocolate muffins for yourself. And it's actually one of the first recipes that I've created by myself. Okay, so I think we've got 8 there, 2 smaller ones. This probably doesn't count. But I'm going to bake these now in the oven for 25 minutes, and hopefully they will turn out very well. Okay, so the muffins are done, and I think they are exactly the same as the last ones. So let's take one out of here, and yes, they have come out perfectly. Nice rise, they feel nice and soft, and they didn't stick to the pan. So yeah, I'm very, very pleased with how these have turned out, and I'm just so delighted that you'll be able to have a go at making them for yourselves and just enjoy them as much as I do. They're great for breakfast, they're great for serving with afternoon tea, just a beautiful, delicious muffin. So yeah, I hope you'll enjoy them. Next I had these 2 autumn squash that I really wanted to use, so I found a lovely recipe for pasta with the squash, which makes a creamy squash pasta sauce. So I'm going to make that now as well. I start by adding a little olive oil to a pan, and then I'm going to add in some onions and just fry them down until they become soft and translucent. Meanwhile, my squash is bubbling away nicely, and when that becomes tender, it's done. I'm adding my onion into a blender, and then I'm going to add in my autumn squash to this. I'll also add in here some milk and some seasoning, and then I'm going to blitz it all together, and that is our sauce. Cook whichever pasta you prefer, lay the table so that you can have a nice evening by yourself, and then when it's ready to serve, just shave over lots of parmesan for a truly delicious, comforting pasta dish. Well, thank you so much for joining me once again. I'm sorry that this was a short episode, but I just wanted to bring something rather than not doing anything because I'm not well. So hopefully this was fun and enjoyable. I hope that you enjoyed the muffins. Please do let me know if you make them and tag me on Instagram using the hashtag #MakingLifeMoreBeautiful. And I look forward to seeing those. Have a really great week. I will see you next week, but until then, take care. Bye-bye.